Have you ever had that thing where you're sitting glued to the monitor for an hour, 3, 5, writing code, solving equations, reading a philosophy book, balancing spreadsheets, twisting and turning multi-story abstract concepts in your head? At that moment, we, as a biological object, literally don't exist to ourselves. We're just pure software. We're bare intellect floating in the vacuum of thoughts. The body is like, not there, there's only pure function, there is thought. But suddenly, click. You tear your eyes away from the screen for a second, look at your hand gripping a mug of cold coffee, and, against all expectations, you're hit by a wild existential chill. Goosebumps the size of elephants all over your body. You look at your fingers and suddenly, to the point of nausea, you realize, wait a minute, but I'm alive. I'm a thinking something trapped in a physical body. I think if this video found you, you've had this happen at least once. In that second, the whole weight of your carbon shell falls on you with a death grip. You start to clearly feel your lungs pumping air, your heart, that dumb but very reliable muscular pump, driving warm blood through your vessels. You feel your bones, your skin, gravity pinning you to the chair. This wild realization comes. You are 1.5 pounds of semi-liquid jelly inside a skull, controlling a complex meat suit. And if this suit doesn't breathe or drink some water right now, your whole great mental universe will collapse into absolute zero, because the flesh is primary. Why does this strange, almost frightening trigger of physicality go? I dug into the info and found out that science has a very tangible answer. It's all about how our brain juggles neural networks. When you're deeply immersed in abstract thoughts, the so-called default mode network or central executive network is firing on all cylinders in your head. Our brain is a thrifty guy. To keep you from being distracted from solving a difficult task, it simply turns down the volume of sensory signals to a minimum. It literally temporarily turns off your own body for your consciousness. Interoception, our body's internal sense, goes into a deep sleep mode, but as soon as you break away from the task, the connection architecture changes abruptly. The so-called salience network comes into play. It slaps you on the back of the head and loads terabytes of data from physical receptors back into your consciousness. A sort of instant system reboot happens and you're blown away. You rediscover the fact of your existence in the physical world. Wow. And right here, barely recovered from the goosebumps, we hit a brick wall. Okay, neurobiologists have clumsily but explained how the switches in the brain flip, but they have no idea why physical processes generate this subjective feeling of I at all. Philosopher David Chalmers put a thorn under science's skin, calling it the hard problem of consciousness. We can describe to the atom how a photon hits the retina, how an electrical impulse runs along a nerve, how synapses fire. That's the easy problem, but why is all this physics and chemistry accompanied by an inner movie theater? Why do we feel alive instead of behaving like soulless biorobots or complex pieces of silicon? We've learned to describe the structure of the meat suit in detail, but we completely don't understand how the pilot gets into it. This task turned out to be harder. Let's take a micropause to think, exhale a little. The topic we're diving headfirst into now is a real rabbit hole. It's very deep. It's actually bottomless. Personally, I hate unsubstantiated claims and love hard facts. Therefore, to really understand all this existential physical background, you need a proper scientific background. So I highly recommend reading the primary sources, for example, David Chalmers with his concept of consciousness, or Thomas Metzinger. His book, The Ego Tunnel, just phenomenally explains how our brain generates the illusion that we are inside a body. And for a deep understanding of what we'll be talking about in literally a minute, I categorically recommend the book, The Character of Physical Law by the legendary Richard Feynman. It was this theoretical physicist who created quantum electrodynamics and liked to go to a strip club during working hours, who came up with the most brilliant analogy of our place in the universe. You'll find links to all these books in my Telegram channel. Don't forget to subscribe. So, we in our physical body with our working brain, look around. And here Richard Feynman comes onto the stage with his brilliant metaphor that perfectly describes the scale of our ignorance. He suggested imagining the universe as a giant game of chess played by gods, and we are just spectators. The problem is that we've never seen this game and no one explained the rules to us. We just sit and stare at the board. At first, it seems like complete chaos. Some pieces of wood are moving back and forth, but we watch, carefully and long, century after century, and suddenly we notice a pattern. Aha, this small piece, the pawn, only moves forward. We joyfully record this and call it, say, a basic law of mechanics. Then we see that the knight always makes a strange L-shaped jump. Bingo, we've discovered gravity or electromagnetism. We've cracked the pattern, we dive headfirst into this process. We study physics, chemistry, biology. We've learned to predict how pieces will behave in specific situations. We see galaxies tens of billions of light years away. We are, damn it, terribly proud of ourselves. Sometimes we even think we've hacked reality itself, but then the good old truth comes into play. There's a good saying, can't see the forest for the trees, because even having thoroughly learned how the bishop moves and why the rook strikes in a straight line, we in fact don't understand anything at all. Science brilliantly answers the question how. We know how quarks work and how the cosmos expands, but physics beats its head against the wall and falls silent before the question why. Why? Why does this chess game exist at all? Who carved these pieces? Why is the board like this and not otherwise? We can derive the perfect equation of gravity, but we have no idea why gravity even occurs in this reality. As the philosopher Gottfried Leibniz said, why is there something rather than nothing? Why? Yes, we are amazing analysts who have disassembled the rules of the game to the atom, but we still don't get why this game started and why we are sitting at this table. Or rather, we can understand that, but we don't understand how this whole nature of what allowed us over billions of years to assemble into what we've assembled into came about. Gravity, atoms, quarks. Is light a wave or a particle? Let's take apart the basic settings of our reality, space and time. We think we understand them because we live in them every single second. But as soon as you dig a little deeper, this concrete foundation starts to crumble. Let's start with the timings. Why the hell does time always go only forward? We remember the past but don't know the future. We age, coffee gets cold, and empires fall. The funniest thing is that fundamental physics doesn't care about this at all. Newton's equations or the laws of quantum mechanics are absolutely symmetric in time. If you run them backward, the math won't break. For a single electron, there is no difference whether it flies from the past to the future or vice versa. So why is there a difference for us? Ludwig Boltzmann found the answer, and it sounds like a sentence: entropy. Let's define entropy. It is a physical quantity characterizing the thermal state of a system and the possible change of these states. It is a measure of internal disorder. Now let's recall the second law of thermodynamics. The universe is inexorably moving from order to chaos. As they say, breaking is not building. The probability of a broken mug assembling itself from shards and jumping onto the table is not zero, but it is so negligible that we will never see it. We float in an endless one-way stream of decay, and it is this decay that draws the arrow of time for us. Time is just a side effect of the world around us gradually decaying. Okay, what about space? Intuitively, space seems to us like an empty shoebox where galaxies, stars, and you and I were carefully poured. Absolute emptiness. But Einstein came with his general theory of relativity and explained in popular terms that space is a physical fabric. It bends, stretches, and deforms under the weight of matter. But wait, there's more. Modern theoretical physicists like Carlo Rovelli, with his concept of loop quantum gravity, take a swing at the most sacred. They suggest that if we zoom in on reality to Planck scales, that is, look into the tiniest pixels of the universe, we won't find space or time there. They are simply not there. At the quantum level, there is only a network of interaction probabilities, and space and time manifest only at the macro level as a hallucination. Just as temperature is not a property of a single atom, but the result of the chaotic movement of millions of molecules. We exist in decorations that render themselves. This is what science is discussing today. And so, after all this quantum madness, we return to the starting point. You sit in front of the monitor, close your complex project, put away the heavy text. Take a breath, feel your lungs expand, gravity pressing on your shoulders. We look through telescopes at the edge of the observable universe. We split atoms in hadron colliders. We build complex neural networks. We are terribly proud of having learned a couple of dozen chess rules. But in fact, the further into the forest, the more wood you find. Yes, I'm on a roll with sayings today. Every newly discovered law of physics is just another door into an even bigger dark room where we can't see a damn thing. The radius of our contact with the unknown is only growing. And you know what? It's amazing. That very existential chill from the sudden realization of your body, which we started with, is the most honest reminder of who we are. We are a piece of matter that on the scale of eternity, for some miserable fraction of a second, gained the ability to ask questions. We are the universe itself, trying to comprehend itself through this pound and a half of gray matter. I prefer to look at it from this point of view. Yes, we don't understand where the chessboard came from. Yes, we live in a flow of entropy of total decay, but it is our total deaf misunderstanding that is the main driver to move forward. It's what makes us alive. As long as we haven't figured out all the rules of this impossible game, we definitely won't be bored. Be sure to drop by the Telegram channel. All the sources, articles, and books are there so you can check every thought from this video yourself. Subscribe here. Give it a dislike if you didn't like this video. And bye.